ever felt like you're literally drowning in a relentless sea of stress, dealing with endless work pressures, or just facing those weird life challenges that seem to pop up completely out of nowhere? You are absolutely not alone. The sheer chaos of modern life, it's a lot. It can be deeply overwhelming. But there's this ancient anchor that has totally stood the test of time, just waiting for us to use it. Today, we're diving into the profound wisdom of Stoicism, and specifically, we're looking at the teachings of the legendary philosopher Epictetus. We are going to break down 10 timeless Stoic principles to help you build what we call unshakable tranquility. So, let's get right into it.
I want to kick things off with this amazing quote from Epictetus because it really grounds everything we're about to talk about. Difficulties show a person's character, and the greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it. And here's the thing you absolutely need to know before we go any further. Stoicism is not some dusty, abstract theory meant for academics locked away in ivory towers. No way. It is a highly practical, everyday toolkit. It's built to help you actively master your emotions and your reactions. We're talking about building such incredible resilience that external events simply do not get to dictate your internal peace anymore.
To make this super actionable for you, we've taken these 10 profound Stoic principles and synthesized them into 4 distinct, highly thematic pillars you can use every single day. We're going to cover Pillar 1, the inner anchor, Pillar 2, the mental shield, Pillar 3, the social mirror, and finally, Pillar 4, the forward horizon. Let's do this.
Starting right off the bat with Pillar 1, the inner anchor. This one is all about maintaining a firm purpose and building that deep, foundational inner strength that actually keeps you grounded. This is a classic Stoic metaphor, and it is so incredibly vivid. Imagine you set sail, right? But you don't have a destination. You're literally just drifting, completely at the mercy of the wind and the waves. And let's be honest, that is exactly what life feels like when we don't have a deep-rooted purpose. But the moment your goals and your core values become crystal clear, that purpose becomes an undeniable compass. It seriously shrinks these colossal, terrifying challenges down into tiny, manageable steps. You stop just reacting to whatever life throws at you, and you start actively navigating based on what genuinely matters to you.
Okay, so how do we actually build the strength to follow that compass? Well, Epictetus famously taught that it's really not about what happens to you, but entirely about how you react to it. It all comes down to the profound difference between what you can and cannot control. You absolutely cannot control external circumstances. You can't control other people's opinions, the crazy turbulence of the economy, or just random unexpected setbacks. But, and this is the game changer, you have 100% control over your internal responses, your attitude, your choices, your resilience. By truly internalizing this split and focusing all your energy solely on your internal responses, you can conserve massive amounts of mental energy. You literally cut out so much unnecessary stress.
And that realization leads us perfectly into Pillar 2, the mental shield. This is where we shift from just anchoring ourselves to actively guarding our minds and defeating those really debilitating emotions.
To really understand how to guard your mind, think about the story of a master baker. A true master dedicates every single day to perfecting their craft, right? They aren't swayed if someone gives them over-the-top praise, and they definitely don't crumble if someone throws harsh criticism their way. They just focus entirely on the dough. You have to do the exact same thing. You need to set firm boundaries for your mental space. Look, you wouldn't invite a stranger to walk in and dump literal garbage on your living room rug, right? So why would you let toxic people, negative thoughts, or just endless doom scrolling dump clutter into your brain? Keep the baker's focus.
Now, a huge part of fiercely guarding your mind is confronting the stuff that attacks it from the inside out. And yeah, I'm talking about fear. Stoicism challenges us to face fear head-on by asking one really simple, hyper-rational question. What exactly am I afraid of? Take public speaking, for example. It's a super common fear. When you break it down, it almost always stems from the worry of being judged or maybe messing up in front of your peers. But when you apply this rational Stoic lens, you quickly realize that dreading the worst-case scenario is actually way more painful than the reality of the event itself.
Seriously, once you break that fear down with cold, hard logic, you hit this incredibly reassuring truth. The audience isn't sitting there waiting to judge you. They're literally just there to listen and learn. And hey, even if you do stumble over a word, it's really not the end of the world. Now, just like we dismantle fear with logic, we've got to use that exact same rational breakdown for its very close cousin, shame. Shame usually comes from past mistakes, and it traps us in this awful loop of self-criticism. The Stoic approach? Confront that shame with immense self-compassion. Acknowledge the mistake happened, extract the lesson, and then, this is crucial, forgive yourself. When you do that, you completely strip fear and shame of their power over you.
All right, moving right along to Pillar 3, the social mirror.
Here is where we explore how all this newfound internal strength actually shapes the way we interact with the crazy world and the people around us.
The absolutely crucial point in all our daily interactions is understanding the gap between a stimulus and your reaction. Let's paint a picture. You're in heavy traffic, you're running late, and someone just totally cuts you off. The impulsive reaction? Boom, immediate anger. You're slamming on the horn. Your blood pressure goes through the roof. But the Stoic response is completely different. It's about creating this deliberate, mindful pause. Like, ask yourself, is honking going to magically make the traffic disappear? No. By choosing to stay calm in that exact split second, you keep control over your own peace. You stop handing your emotional remote control over to some random stranger on the highway. And what about when someone actually directly offends you? Well, you can totally transform that friction. When an offense hits, don't suppress it. Start by deeply acknowledging your emotions. Stoics absolutely process their feelings. Then, force that crucial space we just talked about before you say a word. From there, practice cognitive reframing. Ask yourself, is there actually a lesson hidden in this criticism? Try to empathize with whatever might be making that person act out in the first place. And finally, choose forgiveness. You know the old saying, right? Holding on to resentment is literally like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Forgiveness isn't about letting them off the hook, it's 100% about freeing yourself from carrying around that heavy, toxic baggage.
Which brings us to our final section today, Pillar 4, the forward horizon. This is all about how we look ahead, intelligently anticipate obstacles, and align our lives with reality.
The Stoics had this brilliant tool for looking ahead. It sounds a little dark. It's called premeditatio malorum, which roughly translates to the premeditation of evils. But listen, despite how gloomy the Latin translation sounds, it is absolutely not about pessimism. It's about supreme, empowering preparation. It literally means taking dedicated time to visualize potential challenges so you are never, ever caught off guard. When you expect that things might go wrong, you basically build this impenetrable fortress of mental resilience.
Don't think of it as some rigid manual. Think of it as a fluid game plan. Step 1, visualize a specific challenge. Let's say you have a massive virtual presentation coming up for work. Imagine the Wi-Fi just totally dropping out right in the middle. Step 2, because you visualize this, you already have your response planned. You're going to immediately dial in using your phone's hotspot. Step 3, remain completely flexible. If the disaster actually happens, you aren't going to panic, you're just going to execute your backup plan with total composure. And honestly, that kind of cool-headedness is the ultimate hallmark of a Stoic mind. But what happens when an obstacle slams into you that you couldn't possibly have planned for? That is exactly where radical acceptance comes into play. Acceptance is literally the first step to effective action. Resisting reality? It just wastes your precious energy. For instance, if you unexpectedly lose your job, it is completely normal to be devastated. But dwelling on the thought that this shouldn't be happening to me keeps you frozen in place. Accepting the harsh reality frees you up to immediately channel your energy into updating your resume and reaching out to your network. You dramatically shift from being a passive victim of circumstance to being the active creator of your next steps. Ultimately, everything we've been talking about culminates in living what the Stoics called according to nature, which just means acting in accordance with our best, most rational selves. They map this out through 4 core virtues that act like an internal operating system. You have wisdom, which is seeing things clearly and making informed choices. Courage, to face adversity and actually take action. Justice, to treat others fairly and with honor. And temperance, to maintain your balance and self-control. By cultivating these 4 virtues, you ensure your life stays authentic and incredibly grounded, no matter how chaotic the world gets around you. We've covered some truly incredible ground today, from finding your inner anchor to bracing for the storms on the horizon. And I really want to leave you with this final, powerful thought. You absolutely cannot control the world around you. The traffic, the volatile economy, the opinions of random people, they are entirely out of your hands. But your inner tranquility, that is yours and yours alone to command. So I guess the only real question left is, will you choose to master your own mind today? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope you take